Hi, welcome to this Solid Edge 2022 video. We can look at some in-depth. This is looking at the new capture fit command. So we can see we've got this bike. Thank you to whoever created this. Stole this off GrabCAD. Made a few little changes on it. So for this, we've got what I've done. I've removed the rotors and the bolts, and we're going to have a look at the capture fit command that we've got on here. So I'm going to go into the assembly. So let's go into the front wheel first. So in the front wheel, we've got our rotor. So I've got my rotor open on there. So I'm just going to use my insert components and go and use my open documents option. So I've got my rotor. So this, I'm going to go and bring this in, and we've got our capture fit on there. So notice here we've got our default setting is our assembly capture fit. So it's highlighting the faces on there, similar to the normal capture fit. Problem it's highlighting which one we're actually looking at. So if I just make that across, we can see we've got our predefined relationships on here. There's some other stuff that we're going to have a look at later on here. So when we do capture fit, we've now got three options available on here. We've got assemble, takes us back into our normal assemble command. So that would be if we normally just right click to cancel. We've got capture fit, which is the default setting in this instance. And then we've got our auto assemble. So because this item isn't already assembled, the auto assemble is grayed out. So we can go and do our capture fit, and we can just do this with our traditional way. So we can go and select our face for that to go and place on, and then we can go and select where our holes are going to be. So we're going to go that hole, and then if there's another axial line, we can click on that and find out where the other axial line is going to be on there, and we can go and get that aligned up on there. Okay, so now we can now that's in place, we can go and have a look. So I'm just going to do the extra alignment that we didn't get on there. So that's in the situation. Now we're going to have a look at bringing this bolt in. So I'm going to do this again. I'm going to bring this from the insert components. I'm just going to open that up and go and drag this in. So this time we're going to have a look at the new way of doing it. So now this has picked up this little option where it's got a rotor bolt placement. And we can go, this has picked up our auto assemble option. So if we click on this option, it's going to automatically look for other items that have got this rotor bolt relationship. When we placed the rotor, we saw we had those relationships already in there. So these relationships need to match exactly. So you can see we've got a mate and axial line. If that's the other way around, it's not going to pick it up. If that's spelled incorrectly, it's not going to pick those up. So what we can do on here, we can go, actually, I want you to look for every part in this assembly that has already got these relationships in. So if we click on that identify targets, it's going to automatically recognise that I've already created those relationships in there for me on there. And then we can accept, and that's going to go and place all those items on there. So on those, obviously I haven't locked the rotation, so those that are users of Solid Edge will know that we've got a nice little tool in our assembly relationships where we can go and lock the rotation on multiple parts at the same time. So that's then fully defined all of those parts. So if I hover over one of those, it's going to tell us that's fully positioned. Also going to tell us at the bottom of the screen on the little blue bar on there. Okay, so how do we go and set this up? Okay, so here we have a nice simple example. Those who've done training with us will probably recognise the blocks that we've got over on the left. So we've got these different items, so I'm just going to open this block from the dialog box. And we want to have a look at the different ways we can go and create this. So if we just go to our Tools tab, we can see we've got our Assign Capture Fit on here. So we're going to get our dialog box. You can see it's a fresh part. Nothing has been applied on here. We've got our relationships and our types. We've got four options up here. So create a new group. So once we've created a group, we can click on that group. And we can go and rename it just by clicking on that. We can choose a different type of relationship, magnetic. Obviously we can just do a normal capture fit, or we can do S-pole or N-pole, which is a way of saying this is going to be the right way up or the wrong way up. So it means that we can create two different options of how it's going to create. Next option on here, we've got edit group. That allows us to go and edit a group if we've got multiple groups. We've got a set default group. So when we bring that in, we want this one to be the one that it chooses. We may have several different groups on here. So for this one, I'll create two different groups on here, and then we've got our delete groups on there. So for this one, I'm just going to go into edit group. So any relationships we now click on, are going to be applied. We need to think about the order we're doing this. Remember earlier I said the order is very important. So the first one on here, I want to do a mate on there. We can see it appearing on the list. Notice we've only got 6 relationships we can go and change. So for this one, I'm going to do a axial constraint now, and I go and choose the center axis of that, and then I go and choose the next relationship. So let's go and do a mate on that front face. So we've got those 3 relationships on there. So I'm just going to save, and I'm going to go back into my example on here. And I'm going to go into this part. So I'm just going to go and open that in a new window. So now we've got that open, let's have a look at what relationships we've already got on here on our assign capture fit. So if we go into a assign capture fit, we've got different ones. I'm not interested in any of these. These are ones that I've been having a little play with on there. So I'm going to go and do one to match. So every time I bring D in, it's going to go and pick this place up. So if we click on relationship group, we can double click on there and go and rename that. So we're going to have place on there. And then we need to go and remember the relationships we want. So I want that to go in here. So remember we did a mate, and then we did a axial align, and then we did another mate, and that mate is going to allow me to go and say actually I want it to mate with that face on there. And if it wasn't size on size, we could go and change that to a float relationship if we needed to on there. So now I can save that. I could go and create that in the other instances I want, but maybe I want A there, B there, C there, and only D in that location. So I'm then going to come out of that, and we'll go back to our previous file. So we've got our example 2 on there. Just going to double check that is saved on there. And now I'm going to go and find my open components and bring in my block D. So when I bring in block D, you'll see that we've got different kind of relationships. So that has recognised that we've only got one. So if we did have a default one, that would be darker, showing would be like bold style. So that one, now we can just go and just choose the same option we've got on there. Identify targets, it's going to show that location, and then accept, and that is then going to go and place that. So if you bring in the same parts in again and again, the same group of parts, we can do that. So it's just an instant option to go and connect those. At any point when we were placing that part, we could have changed. We could have changed to do a normal capture fit. So I want to go and place that in there. So there's no reason for me not to go and bring that in again. So if I just go and drag that in again, I can go and choose from this option and go, actually, I just want to do normal capture fit. So I don't want you to try and fit there. And that's going to allow me to go 1, 2, and then I want to say the D is going to go to that internal face on there. So it's allowed us to do that flexibility. Or the third option, which is a way that we've had before, we can go, actually, I want to do that as a normal assemble. So I'm just going to turn that into a normal assemble mode, and that's going to go into our default flash fit setting that we normally get. And we can go and create that and create the appropriate relationships that we need between those parts. So it gives us full flexibility of different ways of mating those parts. Hope it's been a useful video. Thank you.